Alright guys, I am testing everything. Alright, we're good. So today, Pitchfork released this. They released it a couple days ago. Their top 100 best albums of the 2020s so far. So we're not quite halfway through the decade yet, but a couple months from now we will be, which is insane to say. But let's hop in here. I'm completely blind to this list other than the albums I see here. Um, but yeah, let's go. See what we think. React to them. Alright, so this 100 album, I've never heard of this Jade's Heart Pacing record. I've never heard of this DJ Travella record, but I have heard this Vampire Weekend record, which I think is really good. I really think this should be a lot higher than 98. It's probably Vampire Weekend's best album. Um, and I'm surprised it's so low, but I'm glad it made the list. Not heard this. No Name's Sundial. No Name has had much better albums than this one. I don't really think it should be here. There's a couple good songs on it, but yeah, I think there are much better hip hop albums with the same sort of message that are a lot better than this one. So yeah, don't think that should be on there. Never heard this. Wow, there's a lot of albums on here I've never heard. Tyler, Call Me If You Get Lost. Another one I feel like is way too low. This is a record with classic potential, and I feel like it should be a lot higher on this list. I wouldn't call it Tyler's best, but I do think that it is up there. Um, Not on the level of Igor, but I do think it is potentially better than Flower Boy, so definitely think 92. It should be a lot higher than that. MKG, I've heard of the artist, but I've never heard this album. Same with this one. Oh, okay, this is a really good placement. I'm glad this is on here. I don't know where Dijon went after this album. I know he released a couple singles, but they were just not on the level of this record. And I think 89 is a fair placement because it wasn't a perfect record, but there were some fantastic songs on it, like The Dress. And yeah, not mad at this placement at all. I'm glad to see it on here. Next, I don't know about that. This Mannequin Pussy record, it's not bad, but I don't think it warrants being on this list. Um, they're much more cohesive rock records that have been released in the 2020s. I guess it's fine being on here. I don't hate the record or anything, and it did have a pretty big impact in the indie community. Um, on my personal list, though, I probably wouldn't have it. Ken Carson, A Great Chaos. I am not sure why this is on here. This record is kind of just a bunch of Playboy Carti ripoffs, and I mean Playboy Carti is the one to pioneer this sound. I don't think Ken Carson like isn't talented or anything like that, but this is kind of just like it kind of just feels like that Designer record that Designer released um, that was blatantly ripping off Future. So yeah, there are so many other albums you could have put in this spot. Have not heard this. Have not heard this. Man, there are so many records on here I haven't heard. I haven't heard any of these yet up to this point. RX Poppy. I'm trying to think. Isn't RX? I've heard of an rapper, but I think it's RX Nephew, and he's just like a complete meme. Um, but yeah, I've not heard this record. Hi, Women in Music Part 3. I'm happy to see this on here. I think this record's awesome. Some of the best indie soft rock of the 2020s. I actually forgot this album came out in the 2020s. Um, but yeah, this one's really good. Um, it's aging well too. I don't see people talking about it a lot though, but it absolutely belongs on this list, and I think 79 is fine for the placement. Lil Uzi Vert, Eternal Atake. What are they doing? Eternal Take is one of the most forgettable rap albums I've ever heard. And while I don't think Pink Tape was a fantastic record either, I would have much rather seen that on here than Eternal Take. Pink Tape had its flaws, sure, but there were a lot of exciting moments on it, and I can't recall being excited once listening through Eternal Take. So, not sure what the thought process is putting that on the list. Anyway, Yule, I've actually not heard this Yule record, but her other one from last year I love. So this is one I'll have to check out. But I have a feeling I'm gonna wonder why they didn't put the 2023 one on here instead of this one. Not heard High Tech. Okay, The Smile, Tom York comeback album. Not mad at this placement. Think it belongs on the list, and I think that's a solid placement. Haven't heard that. Haven't heard that. Haven't heard that. I have heard this, but only once. It's not really my kind of music, but I am not mad at seeing it on here. Oh, 1975, being funny in a foreign language. So I usually hate millennial pop like this, but this 1975 album is really nostalgic and has really good production, and yeah, I think it's a really good record, and I'm cool with it being on here. Cool. Full Glow Diaspora. This could be much higher because this record is amazing. Um, it's one I unfortunately didn't really visit in 2022 and didn't really get into it until the last year or so. Um, yeah, but I think it's a good album. Um, I'm happy it's on here. Taylor Swift Folklore, I guess you have to put it on with all the Swifties. Um, it probably is one of her better albums to date, so I'm not mad at it being on here. But for me, if I were to put it on my list, it would probably be like up in the 90s or 80s. Matt Kami, Pray for Haiti. Matt Kami's new record should be on here. It's much more focused, and the production's better, and the lyricism's a little more potent. I don't think Pray for Haiti is a bad album, but I'm surprised they went with this one instead of Rich Ass Haitian, which I think is a much better record. Um, I mean, this album's okay. I'm sorry, I'm not a drainer, but this album's just okay. I wouldn't have put it on my list. This Bjork album is not. Look, I love Bjork. She's one of my favorite artists of all time. Absolute legend in the 90s and early 2000s, just classic after classic. But this Fasora record is not very good. I mean, she reinvented herself again. She did her thing, but compared to her older albums, it's just not on the level of those. Nilüfer Yanya, Painless. This is a record that I kind of forgot about. Just typical indie pop, indie rock. I do like it. I think there's a lot of good songs on it. So you know what? Props to them for putting a lesser known artist on here, even if I don't think it's the best record ever. Dua Lipa, Future Nostalgia. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. It makes sense that it's on here. Big cultural moment, lots of hits. Yeah, that's fine. Everybody loves this Bad Bunny record. It's on every list you've ever seen. I feel like you have to have it on there for its cultural impact, but it is very bloated. A lot of kind of just generic songs on it. Dawn FM, happy to see this here. For me, it would be higher, but 51, can't really complain. I'm trying to remember when After Hours came out, but I assume they'll have that higher than this one just because culturally it was bigger, had more popular songs, but I personally prefer Dawn FM over that and feel like it's aging a little better than After Hours. 10,000 Gex absolutely has to be here. Such a fun record. Um, cool electronic indie pop production. Yeah, good record, and I'm happy it's on here. Ooh, Sudan Archives, Natural Brown Prom Queen. This is one of the best R&B albums of the 2020s. Um, Yeah, I honestly wasn't expecting to see this on here, so I'm really happy it made the list. It would probably be like in the top 25 for me. But yeah, Phoebe Bridgers' Punisher, I feel like this should also be higher, especially with all of the copycat Phoebe Bridgers artists out there that just blatantly rip her sound off. I mean, this record really started it all, and it's a fantastic record, even if it has been kind of pushed by the wayside because of how many records came out after that sound just like it, the typical, indie sound, indie sad girl type vibe. Um, Punisher is awesome, and it's I think one of the most influential records of the 2020s. Um, so I think it should definitely be higher than 44, but not surprised it's on here one bit. Oh, Yvette Eve Toomer, Heaven to a Tortured Mind. I actually agree with them. I think this record is much better than the last one that Toomer dropped. So yeah, I'm cool with this placement. Nobody really talks about this album anymore, but it's really good, and I'm glad it's on here. Perfume Genius. This record's just kind of boring to me. I don't think it's like the worst album. Like top 100, fine, but I think 40 is way too generous for this record. Okay, this was one of the records in my top 50 last year. I think everybody would be happy to see this one here. Very emotional, heartbreaking songs, and sort of just chill vibes throughout. This Faye Webster record, this is what I mean. Like, I feel like Faye Webster's a talented artist. Don't get me wrong, but having this above Punisher is just disrespectful. Because this album wouldn't have came out without Punisher. Okay, everybody loved this Raven album, and I thought it was really good, but I don't think it was good enough to be up here at 36. It would probably be in the 90s range for me. The soundscape is very dark, and she does a great job in building her world for this record, but 36 is a little bit high for me. I'd probably say the same thing about this Fever Ray record. This Jockstrap record is really good. Good for them. 34, not bad. Ah, this is an awesome placement, actually. Jane Remover, Frailty went under the alias of Delete Zeke when this came out, but I'm actually, like, ecstatic that this is this high. I think this album's amazing. I think her second album, Census Designated, is also good, but Frailty is one of the best pop albums of the decade, easily. Happy it made it so high. Wednesday, Rat Saw God, another one I'm just kind of on the fence about. I think there are good songs on it. They do a pretty good job with the genre blending, but other than that, it's just kind of boilerplate. Turnstile Glow On, absolutely deserving of the 29th spot. I feel like that's a good spot for it. My favorite hardcore album of the 2020s, probably. But yeah, glad this is on here. This is a travesty. This should be at least in the top 15, if not the top 10, especially after the beef with Drake and what like really got everyone paying attention to this album again. 28. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that didn't enjoy this record as much as Kendrick's other stuff, but 28 is a little bit disrespectful to me. I think it should be much higher than that. What's Your Pleasure? This is a well deserved spot, one of the best disco revival albums of the 2020s. Just catchy rhythms and production on every song. Yeah, great placement for Jesse Ware. Alex G, this is another album that's really good and has a really cool concept. Top 25, I can't really complain about. I do think there are some misses on it, but for the most part, it's a really good album, and yeah, cool. Dude, okay, listen, I wouldn't have been mad if this was like in the hundreds to maybe like 90s, but the fact this is at 23 is crazy. I mean, come on. They knew what they were doing. They knew this was gonna push buttons at 23, and that's why they did it to get the clicks. Um, Moving on. Jasmine Sullivan. This is a good record too. Probably would have been like 50s to 60s for me, but can't complain about having it at 22. This record, this Amare record, is fantastic. Fountain Baby just takes you into this weird, watery R&B world, this like futuristic alien nightclub esque soundscape. And yeah, this is well deserving of the 20 spot. Ash Cobain. I've not listened to this. Admittedly, I've not listened to this album either. I'm not really a big jazz guy. FKA Twigs, Magdalene, this high. Wait, this is from 2019. So why is this on the top albums of the 2020s list? I was sitting here like, this album feels really old. This feels like it came out like 5 years ago. And, well, it did. Maybe it came out in December or something, but yeah, it's a good record. A little high for me. Okay, Lana Del Rey, yeah, her songwriting on this album is incredible, and even though I don't completely love every song, I can't really complain about this placement. I think she crafted a fantastic record here, and 16 is very fair. This one I'm really happy about. This Always record, I think it's overtaking Antisocialites for my favorite album from them. And I'm surprised they have it this high, but I think it's well deserved. And yeah, very happy to see it here. Very happy to see this here too. This Billy Woods and Kenny Siegel record is fantastic. Production is great. Super experimental. I think it's one of Billy Woods' best, and he's released a lot of music. So yeah, happy with that. Never heard of that. Desire Want to Turn Into You just barely missed the top 10. These top 10 records better be flawless because this is one of the best pop records I've heard in years. Probably since Emotion. It's the best pop record that has come out. Might be a hot take, but I truly believe that. And let's see what the top 10 is. And we'll see if that's good. Okay, this Big Thief record. That is fair to have in front of Caroline. So far, so good. Yeah, the Big Thief record is amazing. No, 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 no. This Waxahachie record does not deserve to be above Big Thief and Caroline. It's not bad, but it's not great. It's not doing anything it's not doing anything new, excuse me. That's crazy that they have it this high. It's just it's a typical indie pop, indie rock, folk, country type album. And like I said, it's not bad, but having it this high is insane. This is a record I've never heard of, so can't comment on it. Rosalia, okay, or Rosalia, sorry. Um, yeah, I guess I can't complain about having this here. I think it's a little high, but it's a good album. Brad, I'm surprised this isn't their number one. I think if this was further in the decade, they might have put it at number one. But yeah, I think it's well deserving of a top 10 spot. It was an absolute cultural phenomenon. I think it will be for many more years. And yeah, I think it's well deserving of this top 10 spot. Never heard of this either. Beyonce Renaissance. I think that's fair to have in the top five, especially with how popular she is and all the new things she brought to the table on Renaissance. I'm not mad at that. This is SOS. I'm not mad at that either. I loved SOS. I thought it was just a little bit bloated, but most of the songs on it were really, really good. I think top 10 is kind of eh. I mean, Kill Bill was huge. That's probably why they decided to do it. But yeah, 4. Okay. 3, Cindy Lee, Diamond Jubilee. Okay. This record just came out this year. Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing album. Needs to get it on Spotify, but 3 is not what I expected. What? 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 Excuse me? That is insane. Okay, I'm not mad at all about having a whole lot of red on this list because influentially, um, for rap, it probably was the most influential rap album of the 2020s so far. Um, excuse me. But to have this at number two on the best 100 albums of the 2020s so far is just blasphemy. I mean, put it at 50, put it at 40, like, put it at 20, but to put it at number two, that's just disrespectful to a load of other records. There are great songs on it. Like I said, it's influential, but it's so bloated. There are a lot of misses on it. I think to have it at two is just insane. Fiona Apple fetched the bolt cutters. Interesting. I give them props for this pick. It's not really what I expected to have them at number one. And I think this album is good. I don't think it's like the best thing I've ever heard, but uh, yeah, number one, fetch the bolt cutters. I actually haven't listened to this like since it came out, pretty much. So maybe I'll return to it and see what I think. But a solid record. Wouldn't be my number one. I'm trying to think. They really skimped out on a lot of hip hop on this list. I'm trying to think what wasn't here. Denzel Curry, Melt My Eyes, See Your Future wasn't here. Jid's The Forever Story wasn't here. There are a plethora of other hip hop albums I can get into. I kind of want to pull up like my 2022 and 2023 list of best albums for the year. They didn't put Slow Tie's Ugly on here, which I think is easily in conversation for one of the best records of the 2020s. What else did they miss? They missed a lot. There's no Porter Robinson on this, which is insane, especially since he has two, what I think will someday be classics. So they missed that. What other? I got vinyl here. There's no Jeff Rosenstock on this list, which is blasphemy. Who else? I'm trying to think. Yeah, no Beach House, Once Twice Melody. That should be on here. Um, Man, there are a lot of others. I'm gonna pull up Spotify and just see real quick. Give me a second. I'm gonna see what else they missed. And if I say something that they didn't miss, I apologize. Um, but yeah, they really missed a lot. Playlist. Okay, what else? There was no Nas. I really think he should at least have one on here. Magic 3 should be on here probably. What else? Was there no Olivia Rod? I don't think I saw Olivia Rodrigo on the list. Which for Pitchfork, I really think they should have had Guts on there. No, let's start here. I guess that's fine. There was no spelling record. What's it called? The Turning Wheel. No, the Turning Wheel. Um, didn't see Utopia on there. I think Utopia deserves a shout out. That Geese record wasn't on there. No Zach Bryan on there. No Zach Bryan self-titled. No Lemon Twigs. That's 2023. Let's see what they missed from 2022. Well, okay, I somehow got to 2021 first, so let's go over that first. Um, okay, they did 2021 a little better than 23. Oh, actually, I didn't see St. Vincent Daddy's Home on there. Was there any Indigo D'Souza on there? I don't think there was. There's no JPEG Mafia. There was no Sometimes I Might Be Introvert. That is insane. Or Injury Reserve. Wow. They didn't have Injury Reserve, Little Sims. And that's just 21 and 23. Let's see what they missed out on in 22. No Gene Dawson. No Gene Dawson. Um, Already said Denzel Curry. Spiritualized, I think, deserves a shout out for being on there. I don't know if they put Ants from Up There on there. Can anybody remember? Did they put Ants from Up There on the list? Because that should be there. Um, those are the ones off the top of my head where I'm just like, wow, I cannot believe that these didn't make the list. But other than that, the list is okay. There's a lot of records on here I would have put on my top 100, but there are also a couple placements that I think are just blasphemy. The Whole Lot of Red placement is probably worse than the Sexy Red placement, if we're being honest. Um, but yeah, that's it. That is Pitchfork's 100 best albums of the 2020s so far. What did you think? Did you enjoy? Do you think it sucks? Let me know in the comments. Hopefully they fix this by 2030. But we'll see.